guys, welcome back to Hear Me Out. I'm E,
I'm Dee.
and today we're going to talk about the Real Housewives of Potomac, episode 14, season 8. The episode is called Suns Out, Buns Out because everybody was showing the, the rear in their bathing suits.
They sure were.
We're going to go over a Vulture article because that's our fave, and of course, give you opinions about what we thought of this episode.
Okay, so as a usual reminder, this is a Vulture article. These are not our opinions. We will give you our opinions after the article. So we're not saying some of these things. We're just reading them. Okay? No
But
hate.
our opinions might overlap. Maybe.
Oh, God dang it.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so Vulture. On July 29, 2022, a young woman from Houston, Texas, dropped a fairly decently regarded album called Renaissance. And on the 11th track, Heated, she crooned whole lot of texting with no conversations, whole lot of playing victim and a villain at the same time. Now, Beyonce Giselle Knowles Carter may have been referring to the men, fans, and haters in her life who generally can't get enough of her. But she and Drake could very well have been watching Real Housewives of Potomac when they crafted these lines. At present, the cast is dominated by women who have no idea what role they want to play in their working group from one episode to the next. And it makes for a watching experience that is more volatile and fatiguing than my regular wax appointments. One of the core arguments of the episode plays directly into this frustration. Giselle takes an opportunity during dinner to speak on her daughter graduating and her anxieties around sending Grace off to college at FAMU, considering the generally abominable socio-political climate in Florida. It's a touching and fair conversation. Nearly every other week, the Sunshine State seems to usher in a new layer of oppressive legislation that ranges from anti-immigrant to anti-queer and transphobic and to anti-DEI and whatever they believe critical race theory to be. While the scourge of gun violence and gun access remains unaddressed, somehow the emphasis from both production and the women in attendance pivots to Wendy and Candace's lack of participation in the conversation, with edited shots of the glances they exchange at the table implying that the two women have stooped so low in their grudge against Giselle as to insult her daughter. Giselle goes so far as to announce that she is no longer speaking to Candace and Wendy because of this slight, a perplexing declaration given that she already committed to giving both women the silent treatment at the outset of the season and has generally applied a 6-foot COVID boundary of personal distance from them. This is an irritating line of conflict because it leaves Candace and Wendy in a no-win position. Wendy and Candace are not on speaking terms with Giselle, who has generally behaved as if there are sentient ghosts talking when sharing space with them. So how could they participate in the conversation? Are they supposed to sit with smiles frozen like the Joker the whole time during a conversation that likely carried on for way longer than the segment they taped? The best they can do is mind their business, save from Wendy briefly adding her own concerns about sending a child alone to Florida, and that is somehow still a provocation. Giselle has certainly found her face stuck in a position of disdain whenever Wendy so much as opens her mouth. And Robin made it very clear last season that her choice to exclude Wendy and her kids from a family day was about her distaste for the mother and not the kids. In this instance, however, Wendy and Candace's inscrutable expressions are deemed so disrespectful that the group is now openly gossiping about the duo at the Cabana Beach day the next day, only to peevishly clam up when Wendy walks over to confront them. It's unbelievably childish behavior that falls short of anything resembling compelling conflict. So, before we dive deeper into this article, what do we think about that whole situation? Because that was something.
I think this is nonsense at this point.
I know.
Everybody is acting like a child.
Mm-hmm.
Giselle needs to get over it. I think we've said it in so many of our videos at this point. For the fans' sake, they need to get over this hump. You disrespected me. You did this. You made me lose money. You hurt my family. Everybody's family was hurt. Apparently, everybody's family was threatened. Everybody lost money in some way, some form. So, and I'm making light of the situation, of course. But, 2 minus 2 is 0. Everything is canceling out at this point.
Yeah.
The math is mathing. So while I think it is disrespectful that, they were like snickering and like, mm, mm, they were doing all that.
Right, right.
Like the article said, what are they supposed to do? They're not exactly talking to Giselle. So if Candace and Wendy were just like, fidgeting, looking at their phone, oh, they're not paying attention. If
Yeah.
they would have dismissed themselves and gone to the bathroom, oh, they don't want to be a part of the group. If they would have had a side conversation, oh, well, they're not listening. So I think that there was a no-win situation at this point.
Yeah.
I thought that Wendy chiming in, and talking to Giselle, I was like, okay, this seems, amicable. This is okay, a step forward. And Giselle seemed receptive. She wasn't dismissive. So I thought that was maybe like a little leaf. I'm like, okay, maybe they could talk a little. Maybe we'll see later on in the episode Wendy extending an olive branch for whatever reason, just because at this point.
Yeah.
But I mean, what are they supposed to do? What do you think?
I I feel like this has happened in other instances where here's an opportunity for these women, some of which are very educated, not saying the others aren't, but some are, Wendy's the doctor. So, an opportunity to really provide some sort of real feedback and context and just like, point out the issues that they are clearly referencing, right? Because they don't mention in particular what these issues are. They're just, I think Wendy does say some aspect of
Mhm.
why there's a fear of Florida. But here once again is an opportunity for these women to have this conversation, and they make it about the pettiness. They make it about the drama. And it's disappointing because again, as has happened before, most of the time people don't pay attention to the things going on around the world because they're not hearing it from people that look or sound like them. These
Mhm.
are women, minority women, that could very well put a voice to some of these things and help others like them understand what the issues are, understand what's going on. Instead, they wasted that opportunity to continue with this faux beef. Because what is the problem at this point anymore? I don't even remember what the beef between Giselle and Wendy is.
I don't need.
Um, I really was trying, like, as you were talking, I'm like, what happened? Like, I was really trying to remember, and I couldn't. And then the whole thing, with Candace, it's like, if 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 Candace is still so upset, why would you even be in the same room with Giselle?
Mhm.
And then if Giselle is so threatened by anything that Candace may say, why would she be in the same room as Candace? Why would they go on vacations together?
True.
So it all feels very disingenuous. Or disingenuous. One of
Mhm.
the two.
Yeah.
And so it frustrates me because it's like it feels so fake and so phony and so forced. And the production, of course, is going to do the production's job, and that's create more drama. We know that's what they do. That's literally their job. So
Mhm.
I'm not even like blaming them right now.
Yeah.
It's still the ladies, because the ladies are providing that sort of content for the producers to create, or to continue this narrative. So it's frustrating because, like I said, it just feels like wasted opportunities once again, especially considering in this case, Grace has been, obviously is Giselle's daughter and has been a part of the show since day one as well. So the audience has seen Grace grow up. I'm sure the audience would feel some type of way about the safety of Grace just as much as like Giselle, not
Mhm.
just as much, but to the extent that people care.
Yeah.
And so it could have been a moment to bring them back to like just a very neutral ground
Mhm.
to maybe pave the way for later being like, you know what? Let's let go of the past and move forward.
Yeah.
But that's not what happened. That's not what ever happens.
That's true. But you did point out that this was a perfect opportunity to have these conversations. Especially, I wish Wendy probably could have chimed in more, but understandably so. She's talking to Giselle because Wendy is a political commentator, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
she has a lot of background in this. This is like her realm of expertise. It could have been something very profound for us.
Yeah.
I think the audience, I mean, at least myself, I'm speaking for myself, I think they should understand that they're not snickering and making faces because of Grace and this topic. They're
Right.
they're they're doing all this because they dislike Giselle. They're not
Yeah.
going to do that to a child. Like,
Right.
I think it's obvious, they're trying to point out, oh, when I was talking about Grace, it's not about Grace. It's about just not liking you, hearing your voice, your presence. It's about you.
Yeah. For
So
sure.
again, they're distracting to make this faux plot line that's pretty annoying.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So to continue, the article says it's unfortunate how much space this tension takes up this week because the episode is full of plenty of light moments. While I would personally still like to be declared ruler of Bravo for a day so that I can summarily ban all contrived game prompts. The women met the moment and gamely went back and forth with their raunchy moments. In quick order, we discover that Juan has a fantasy. I'm not going to say the name that they listed here. Wendy and Eddie are anal enthusiasts, and Karen claims to reserve her extramarital fantasies to very active wet dreams. It's silly and a bit out of control, but it also functions as a soft and fuzzy lunching pad to discuss the state of the women's relationships. I will leave it to you to ponder what it means that even in his fantasies, Juan wants Robin to leave him alone. But Ashley becoming squeamish over her sex life forces her to admit that she has yet to fully cut ties with the crypt keeper and has apparently recruited a confidence coach to help her take that next step. While Ashley has not yet been able to cross the finish line into executing her divorce, she has been investing her energy into another space, namely her long abandoned singing career. She has been working on a new song to honor her journey, healing and thriving, and debuts it for the women. Shout out to Candace for calling back to their butter knife moment and handing Ashley one to use as a mic. It's no coffee and love, but the vocals aren't half bad. I could definitely hear the melody playing in the background of a tampon commercial someday soon. And it was lovely to see the women continue to encourage Ashley to take the next step. Okay, so again, before we continue, what do we think of this portion? Namely, the fact that these women can only get along when they're
What
discussing very
relations?
intimate situations.
I treat this as the Will and Jada, debacle that we dealt with, this year. The less I
Okay,
know, the better. I don't need to be knowing what Eddie likes and dislikes and
this is
what
true.
windmill Wendy's doing or Karen's overly active dreams. I don't need to know that. Okay,
I
guys? Like,
wanna know.
the
I
only
wanna
reason
know.
I kind of enjoy it because it seems like the ladies enjoy it, and
Yeah,
that's the only time they get along.
this is true.
That's why I enjoy it, not
Yeah.
because I'm being a nosy Nancy here. Like, it's too much. I wish they could just like take it down a notch. But if they're getting along, I mean, that's a bonus for us. As far
Yeah.
as Ashley, she's not gonna get divorced. Well,
Ooh.
one, because I think that Michael provides that security. Let's say it like
Yeah.
that. She mentioned that. why would I want to give that security away in these trying times?
This
Like,
is true.
why would I do that? And
This
I
is
know it sounds very gold diggerish, but
yeah.
trying times, but also, you know, she's been dealing with a lot, and, you know,
Yeah.
she doesn't want to feel like she can't provide for her kids and, you know,
Yeah.
her experiences. So on a real tip, I think that's something very difficult probably to overcome. So
Yeah.
I don't see it happening anytime soon. But in the meantime, she has that
Hmm.
security.
Uh, yeah, okay. Before I touch on Ashley,
Mhm.
the ladies in their very raunchy conversations, as it makes me cringe because I'm like, I don't need to know some of these things, a lot of these things, I don't need to. But I will say that it is refreshing to see them just get along in this way. And also, I think that I I like that they're able to be, at least most of them seem like they're able to be like really comfortable having these conversations. And a
Yeah.
lot of the time I feel like that's not necessarily the case with women, you know, they're very demure or they won't talk about some of these things. But sometimes you need to have some of these conversations. Sometimes you can actually like learn things and you know, like I find it to be amusing because they're funny about it, but also it's very like I think it's very progressive. It's something that like just as how I discussed earlier, how they wasted a moment, they wasted, you know, an opportunity to have a real discussion. This is something that is generally looked at as taboo, women discussing these sort of things in public or on national television. So the fact that they have done this, and not this isn't the first time we've heard them have these discussions before, I actually love that. As much as it may make me cringe, I actually do love that because it is it is interesting, and I I think more women should be or should feel comfortable enough, free enough to have these conversations, you know? So anyway, that's that. I I'm not surprised by Juan, not in the least.
Oh,
Um
one is not even that interesting to want these interesting fantasies. I'm like, what?
um and then Ashley, I get what you're saying. And I can definitely understand it and agree with it to an extent.
Hmm.
But I feel she needs a clean break.
I could see that.
Just because, like, it, the way I see it is like you are still tying yourself to this man
Hmm.
legally, right? So, when will you ever be ready to move on? When will you ever be ready to accept new love into your life? To accept a good man into your life if you're still kind of, you know, holding on to that? And I am like a big believer in manifestation and you know putting things out into the world of like what you want in life and everything. And I feel like if Ashley wants something good in her life, her actions are going against that by still remaining married to Michael. So I think because of that, I kind of feel like frustrated by her and
Yeah.
her decision. I mean, granted, I'm not married. I haven't been married. I haven't been divorced, so I don't know the extent of how difficult it must be to get to that point, right? How difficult it must feel to finalize a divorce. Like that's got to be really rough, especially given now that there's children involved and everything.
Hmm.
But I think that if Ashley is to find somebody new, somebody better, somebody that can be her new person, that's not going to happen with her still kind of being tied to Michael this way. I don't know.
That's
That's
true.
just how I see it. Yeah. Um so yeah, that's kind of like what I was thinking of anytime that, you know, I would see her about like and then the whole singing thing, I was just kind of like, is this going to be like a whole Candace situation, and then she's gonna go and do her lounge tours, or I
What?
don't know, like what's gonna happen, you know? But anyway, let's get back to the article. Okay. So the two duchesses of deception, Mia and Karen, also continue to circle each other in this Cold War. I was bullish on Mia early. No matter how you may feel about her persona, she is built for housewives, with the knack for stoking conflict, creating chaos, and moving on to the next moment without many grudges held. This episode is prima facie evidence of her stronger qualities. In one moment, she briefly banters with Karen about each spreading rumors about the other in their marriage. The next, she is turning the whole table upside down with an incomprehensible retcon of her marriage to Gordon. Not only does she breezily admit that her husband is, in her words, broke as hell, she claims that when they initially got together while she was working as a steakhouse burlesque entertainer, she had more money in the bank than he did, courtesy of a mysterious inheritance that has never come to light until this moment. Now, perhaps it is possible that she has managed to get on the last will and testament of a former sponsor with money to spare, but riddle me ignorant if I find it hard to believe that Mia Thornton didn't pair up with the married man who was allegedly spending 10,000 a night on her, in part due to the security he could provide her at the moment. But hey, if she wants to claim a stripper heiress fantasy for the plot, who am I to stop her? Mia may have a loose relationship with the truth, but at least she knows how to make it entertaining.
For real.
Woo. Yeah. So, the loose and non-committal energy that Mia has, making it a bit out of owing an obligation to Karen, breezily adding comic chaos to the already inconsistent narrative of her marriage, rejecting Karen's claims of her engaging with the rapper only to admit to sharing intimate company with the rapper moments later, is exactly the burst of lightness that Potomac has been missing this season. We see glimmers of it here and there, like the beachside photo shoots and raunchy prompts, but the show continues to be weighed down by the women's refusal to break free from deeply entrenched oppositional positions that don't allow for forward progress. It's a
Mhm.
shame that an episode in which Mia jokes about her feet being big enough to handle breaking on a golf cart and Karen brings a clown mask as a prop to mock Giselle is trapped in the fog of never-ending war amongst the cast, with no seeming end in sight if the women cannot figure out how to lay their burdens down and commit to turning a new page in their collective dynamic. These sprinkled moments of humor won't be enough to justify committing to the franchise for much further. So before we get to the cherry blossoms that Vulture likes to give us, what do we think about Mia and Karen, the two faves?
We know that Mia is always trying to keep it spicy. I appreciate this mysterious inheritance because when the ladies were like, inheritance, I was like, inheritance on this side of the screen. I'm like, I've never heard that, Mia. And I've been a devout fan of Potomac. Okay. Just like her, like, she's so hyperbolic. She just makes up stuff and she's so unfazed about it. It's
Yeah,
comical at this point.
yeah,
They'll be like, your feet are big. And she'll be like, yeah, so what? Hmm. And then it's like, what do you say to that? She doesn't
right,
care.
right.
Or
They-
she'll have a rebuttal, or in this case, threaten Karen. Oh, well, I'm gonna spill your tea, girl. And Karen was like, next subject. What tea you got, girl?
exactly. What does Mia know that we don't
Mhm.
know?
So I don't know if it's the truth or a lie, or she just wants to leave us in a cliffhanger. But I appreciate Mia. That's my cherry blossom.
I'm gonna have to go ahead and steal that from you. Yeah, same here. Because when she said inheritance, I was like, inheritance, and then all the mental math.
It's like that lady on Instagram that goes all the way and turns around.
Yeah,
Inheritance. Where did that come from?
me. But wait. You you said, hold on, mental math that I was doing. I have a horrible memory, y'all. This is not something, that I've disclosed before, but I have a horrible memory. But tell me why. I was remembering everything from Mia's life. Like, wait a minute, but she was serving steaks over here, and then she was, and then she said, "What?" Like I was, and then I'm like, wait a minute, but her mom, it
Exactly.
had, and then I thought the dad, like literally mental math. I appreciate Mia because Mia, as we've already said multiple times, she's the real MVP. She keeps the show going. She does not take ish from nobody, but she's also not going to hold on to these grudges like
Yeah.
everybody else. She keeps it
Mhm.
moving.
Which is
And
what we need.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I wish that the other ladies were a little bit more like that. Karen,
She is no
man,
longer the glue. She got tired of that.
you are correct, but also Karen, this story about you and Mr. Blue Eyes or whatever his name is and
Oh,
possibly other people. The what?
the trainer?
The trainer, uh-huh. These stories have been circulating for many seasons.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And you do not ever
Negate them.
fully shut them down.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So the math, again, doing the mental math,
Mm-hmm.
like listen, ma'am, if you don't want to admit to what you did, that's fine. You don't have to. But just shut them down to save face at the very least.
Yeah.
You not saying nothing or you changing the subject or you like doing all the stuff that you do only makes us believe people even more. And mind you, Mia's not the first person to bring this up. There's been other housewives who've brought this up, and I never really listened or believed them. I was like, whatever. But for some reason, even though Mia had an inheritance that we didn't know about, I kind of believe her right now.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know what she knows.
But I think maybe Karen doesn't want to outright say, no, I'm not engaging in relations with them, because if she says that and somebody pops out and being like, she lying, then it's like, oh, now I'm a liar. So now,
That's,
it's kind of like, was it plausible deniability kind of thing?
yeah, okay,
I mean, it's up in the air. I'm gonna let you think what you want to think. I'm not confirming or denying.
okay.
I'm the grand dame. Like, I am unbothered, unfazed by
This is
these
true.
rumors. So,
This is very true. Okay, so what were the cherry blossoms? It's taken a while to get some real camera time with Kierna. Kierna? Anyway, but I am enjoying her presence on this trip. She is quick, charming, and unafraid to step right into the mix and address her concerns, namely calling out Candace and Wendy for leaving her in the lurch while she was sick, which neither of them properly apologized for. Also, her confessional look is immaculate. So far, so good. Yes, ma'am.
mm-hmm.
Next cherry blossom. Some of the outfit choices are bizarrely comical this episode. Why is Karen walking around in a sheer robe and teddy? Why did Candace wake up with shades on? Is the Mama Juana getting to the women or what? Hey, we haven't had Mama Juana since we went to DR. Anyway,
Oh,
last cherry blossom. The more Giselle attempts to integrate conversations about Jason into the show, the less I believe that this situation is anything remotely relevant in her life. I
mm-hmm.
believe they're friends, but I just can't take any other aspect of this conversation seriously and don't care to know any more, especially if it won't be filmed.
Mm.
Well, I see how they really feel. How do we really feel?
Man, that's a good point. Like, why don't we know about these, invisible people
Yeah.
if we're not going to see them on the show?
Yeah. But
That's a
Giselle
good point.
has a history of this, does she not?
Mm-hmm.
Jamal. Where was Jamal? We
We
didn't see
saw him
Jamal.
a few times, very little.
He was
Part.
constantly missing. I feel
Mm.
like Giselle's men are constantly missing more than Juan used to.
All right, we gotta go. Guys, let us know what you think in the comments about this episode. What do we think about the latest in DR? What do we think about Karen? Does she have a little side piece? What do you think? What do we think about Mia and her mysterious inheritance at this point? And lastly, what do we think about these petty fights? Are you guys over it? Are you guys switching to a new franchise because Beverly Hills is popping? And the other ones. I think Utah too. I don't know. Or Salt Lake City. So let us know. Also, let us know if you guys want us to watch another
Oh
house.
my God.
We can cover Beverly Hills. I think New York has a brand new cast.
Oh.
Salt Lake City, I hear, is crazy.
Oh, okay.
Isn't there a Dallas one?
I have no idea.
Miami with Larsa. We know Larsa's the source. So let us know, guys. But that concludes today's episode. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Also, please share our video. We're trying to grow our community so your friends can be our friends so we can all be friends. We also have social media, which Steele tell you about.
We're on Instagram and TikTok at Hear Me Out DNE. So make sure you guys like, follow, share, and comment. We enjoy interacting with y'all.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Peace.